The highest selling men's fragrance of all time has spawned a slew of what in my opinion are just wonderful fragrance flankers, each in their own right. And in this video, I figured we'd discuss each of them and give them the credit they deserve for what's special about each one and how they tie back into the original Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani. So stay tuned. So before we dive into these, obviously I do not have a Senza, as you do not see it here. Since discontinuation, resale prices for that is so outrageously absurd. I refuse to pay that for it, though I would love to have it. Who knows, maybe one day, though very unlikely. I do not have Profumo Special Blend, which is essentially just a special version of Profumo, or any of the other limited edition bottles for the original, but I do have the bread and butter of the line. So let's jump into the first one. Starting with the famed Acqua di Gio from Giorgio Armani. This is the highest selling men's fragrance of all time. This is probably the most recognizable scent on a man for most people anyways. It is basically the 90s in a bottle. At this stage, younger people will say it smells like their uncle, their dad, their grandfather. It's, I guess for a lot of people at this stage, a dated scent, but it is a game-changing fragrance. There's no denying the impact that Acqua di Gio had. This put us on a path to where we are here today with these aquatic, fresh, likable, mass-appealing blue fragrances. While not completely a blue fragrance, I would deem this more in the light blue genre, where it is very versatile, it's very fresh, it's very easy to like. Now, we're not going to get too technical here by showing note breakdowns on screen, but what you're going to get from this one is the famed Sea Notes fragrance oil. It does have that aquatic sea breeze type of smell. There's citruses here, there's a slew of florals, some fresh green herbs such as rosemary in here, but mostly what you'll get is something nice, fresh, aquatic, a little on the synthetic side, but very beautiful out in the air. While does not perform as well as it once did, I know a lot of people complain saying it's a 2-hour fragrance. I don't experience that. This bottle is from around the 2018 time frame, maybe late 2017. I haven't checked the batch code in a long time, but I picked it up around early 2018. And for me, I actually get about 6-ish hours on my skin. That cologne note and some of the woody nuances really stay on my skin for a very, very long time before it becomes a faint skin scent. And I say very long time because, yeah, it definitely performed better back in the days before reformulation. This did come out in 1996, but there was a time when this was a must-have because traditionally women love the way this smells on a man. That's why so many guys made this their signature scent. It's a summer-oriented fresh fragrance. It's geared perfectly for the hot weather, but it became a signature scent to wear for any time, any season, any event, any situation, and any attire. That's how most men have treated this scent. I have childhood friends that to this day, this is still the fragrance they wear the most. They're set in their ways with it. They love the way it smells. Their wife or girlfriend or significant other loves the way it smells on them, so they're not switching it up. They're not necessarily into it like you and I are into fragrances. But iconic as they come, this was the previous generation's Dior Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, whatever have you, which are some of the most iconic fragrances of today's fragrance market for men. Next, we're going to discuss Acqua di Gio Profumo, which in my personal opinion, this is the highlight of the fragrance line. Now when I say that, because this stays true to the original Acqua di Gio DNA, but it matures it, if you will. It kind of takes it more into the modern era. So there's some added darker patchouli here in the base, and most distinctively it's known for this added incense note. It's got a smoky, darker nuance. It's like a dark aquatic is a good way to look at it. The C notes are amped up here. A lot of the florals have been removed that were in the original. It most famously has this magnetic cap. It performs night and day different from the original. This is a very long-lasting, very well-pronounced type of fragrance. It's more attention-getting, but I deem it much more versatile than the original. Reason being, this one dresses up, in my opinion, a lot better than the original Acqua di Gio. This has more of that grown man appeal. Not quite as fresh and playful while still maintaining some of that aspect. I feel like this one goes with a suit a whole lot better. This works in evening situations a whole lot better because of that darker, more matured aspect of it. This is what I have deemed as a Swiss Army knife fragrance. It literally can do it all, and this has the performance to cut through the cold so much better than the original, where the original is really geared for warmer weather. This is a fresh aquatic that has some darker nuances and the performance to cut through the cold, so it can truly be a signature scent. In my opinion, this is the most signature scent worthy of all of the Acqua di Gio fragrances you see here. For me, still the king of the mountain, and if you're only going to get one, in my personal opinion, it is the one to own. Next, we're going to get into the part of the line that seems to be the dark horses and the black sheep of the family, if you will, starting with Acqua di Gio Absolute. While personally, the one I wear the most, the one I actually have a 200 milliliter backup bottle of, because it's no secret that I enjoy Invictus Aqua, and this has some similarities to it. This basically takes Profumo, adds some fruits up top, and removes the incense, because that added patchouli labdanum smell that's here, the darker, earthier components, minus the incense, is still in here. I get a lot of patchouli here. Yes, it's a bit more synthetic, but it still performs just about as well as Profumo. It's an 8+ hour fragrance on my skin. It's very loud, very well pronounced, and I've gotten many compliments wearing this fragrance. It's actually one of my most complimented fragrances, and it got a lot of mixed reviews when it came out. There's a lot of people that don't care for it, and there's a lot of people that feel the way I do, that it's kind of the underrated black sheep of the family. I don't find it to be redundant with Invictus Aqua, but I do feel like it serves a similar purpose to Invictus Aqua because there are some similarities there. It basically smells like a fruitier version of the original, or basically a fruitier, non-smoky version of Profumo, because it has the same performance. It still has those darker nuances in its heart and base with the labdanum, that leathery smell, and then the earthy patchouli. So it's one that is a little strange. I can understand why it's polarizing for a lot of people, and some people can't stand it. But for me personally, while not my absolute favorite either, as I've already told you, I believe Profumo is the king of the mountain for this line. It is the one that I go back to the most, because for some reason I just enjoy it that much, and that is Acqua di Gio Absolute. Then we start getting into the flanker of the flanker with Acqua di Gio Absolute Instinct. So I just wore this one a few days ago. This is another dark horse, black sheep of the family, the least popular of them. Less popular than what it's flankered from with Absolute. So what's different about this one is it takes Absolute, adds some seaweed to make it a bit more bitter, marine aquatic with the C notes, and adds this dark ebony wood. So it has a very dark appeal without being smoky like Profumo, but still a very dark aquatic. I find it to be much darker than Profumo, the darkest in the line, and it's got a strange character to it that I think is quite charming, to be honest with you. I think it's very underrated, and I feel like if more people would give it a full wearing and try it, not just smell it on a test strip or just smell it the one time, and really spray their body down with however many sprays they would traditionally go with an Acqua di Gio fragrance on their skin, more people would probably like it. I'm not sure if it's been discontinued yet. If it hasn't been, I'm sure it will be. It's inevitable, because it's definitely the least popular Acqua di Gio fragrance in the line. If something like Essenza can be discontinued, and now I'm hearing from a L'Oreal rep that Profumo is being discontinued, if those two wonderful versions of Acqua di Gio can be discontinued, this is already out the door. If not, it will be very soon. And that's unfortunate, because I feel like it's different. Like I said, it's got a certain charm to it because it's so different. They really went out on a limb here and tried something. And I actually like the way it smells. Still performs very well. Everything in this line seems to perform very well. All of the flankers outperform the original for sure in longevity and in projection on my skin, and this one is no slouch in its own right. A dark aquatic through and through is Absolute Instinct. Then came the bluest of them all. The blue bottle is fitting with Acqua di Gio Profondo. So this added the new Aqua Zone note. These are all done by famed perfumer Alberto Marias. I'm not sure, I don't recall if I mentioned that in the beginning. And this one, yes, it's a bit on the synthetic side, more so than the others for sure. It's a little sharp and can be a bit harsh up top because it's so synthetic, because of these new aroma chemicals that have been introduced here. But the aquatic nature of it is so present and so strong. It's very watery. I immediately think of the color blue when I smell this one, as I know most people do. Another one, performance is stellar on this. If you like versatile, fresh fragrances, it's hard to argue against this being the one to get. Even though I said Profumo would be my personal recommendation for everyone, not everybody's going to like the matured aspect. This is definitely much more playful, much more easygoing, and more of a t-shirt and, polo shirt like I'm wearing type of fragrance, whereas I feel like this begs you to dress it up a bit more because it's so dark and refined. This is no slouch in performance whatsoever. This one actually dials up the performance a bit more than what the Absolu flankers and Absolute Instinct had to offer. While they were very strong fragrances, this is just a little bit stronger than those. This is another one 8+ hours, more so in that 10-hour realm on my skin, and very, very loud and very apt at pulling in positive attention. I'm not saying every time I wear it I get a compliment. I'm not going to sit here and make some farce, but on occasion when I do wear it, it does happen. The likelihood goes up because it has that type of scent profile. It's basically, if this was to be re-released today, this is the fragrance it would be. Because the blue mass appealing fragrance is the safe bet these days. While this was the safe bet in the 90s, this is the safe bet in the late 2000 teens, early 2020s. The blue, fresh, easy to like, easy to wear fragrance. So the bluest of them all, and when I say blue, it's because it's so versatile, easy to wear and easy to like. That's what I deem a blue fragrance. Works it for everything. It's never a bad time to wear this fragrance. Like I said, the modern day Acqua di Gio if it was to be re-released. Which brings us to the newest release, Acqua di Gio Profondo Lights. One of my personal favorite designer releases of 2021 so far. This takes Profondo and makes it special to me personally with my taste and my palate. So what's different here from Profondo is it dials back that sharp synthetic edge in the opening. They changed the balance on a few things, whereas the rosemary is a bit more present here. It's much more fresh greens, fresh spicy than it is super watery and aquatic. While still very, very similar at its heart to Profondo, as it starts to dry and settle, the Profondo DNA comes out a lot more. This is another one that's a flanker to the flanker, just like we had Absolute Instinct was flankered from Absolu, which is a flanker of Acqua di Gio. We have the same thing here of Profondo Lights, which is flankered from Profondo, which is a flanker of Acqua di Gio. So it's interesting that they double flanker in their own line, but it seems to just work every time for me. This is a very beloved line from my personal taste, and they've yet to disappoint me with a release, and the newest release being nothing short of amazing in my opinion. Another one, strong compliment getting DNA. If you like more fresh green fragrances, you will like this one. I personally like the smell of this one a little bit more than Acqua di Gio Profondo. I actually did a battle video between the two. Now, performance takes a little bit of a hit. It's not quite as strong and as long lasting as Profondo, but it does smell a bit better. It's a bit easier on the olfactory for me because it's not so sharp and synthetic. It's much more pleasant, pleasing, and has more fresh spice going for it, which I personally thoroughly enjoy. But still, an 8-hour fragrance easily and still projects pretty well for a solid 2 hours, whereas the other version is, you know, more 9-10 hours and projects a little bit harder, but still a great performer that just smells better in my opinion. I think it's a great addition to the Acqua di Gio line. So that's my thoughts and feelings on the 6 fragrances I have in the Acqua di Gio line from Giorgio Armani. Again, I'm missing Essenza, which is the only other primary fragrance in the line. Profumo Special Blend, from what I understand, basically it's just Profumo with maybe a little bit higher quality oils in certain situations. And then you have your special edition bottles of the original. So technically I'm only missing Essenza from the primary meat and potatoes of the line. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback and I love hearing from you guys. What from this line do you have? Like I said, for me personally, they've never let me down with a release. Even with Absolute Instinct, which I know is most people's least favorite, I think it's charming. It's a charming fragrance. That's why I keep going back to that word, because it fits it so well, because it's just so different. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the fragrances in the Acqua di Gio line, you give them a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.